Hired, call disconnected.
It was just so chaotic. Everybody just started running wherever they could go.
He grew up with these kids, since elementary school here. So we know a lot of them, and my heart goes out to every one of their parents. I couldn't even imagine not being able to have my kid home.
On the morning of May 18, 2018, life was normal, or at least it looked like it. In Santa Fe, Texas, a quiet, tight-knit community, kids rushed into school, eager to start their Friday. Finals were coming up. Summer break was just around the corner. Some were looking forward to prom. Others were just thinking about what they'd eat for lunch. But by 7:32 a.m., everything had changed. Santa Fe wasn't the kind of town that made headlines. It was small, around 13,000 people, a place where families stayed for generations, where the local high school football team brought the whole town together every Friday night. The kind of place people chose to live in to get away from the chaos of the big city. A 45-minute drive from Houston, but a world away in energy and pace. Santa Fe High School was the heart of the town, home of the Indians, the green and gold, a school filled with life, spirit, and dreams. From the marching band to the art club, from science fairs to first loves, it was like any other American high school. Until that day. Before we get further into this story, let me tell you a little about the shooter. Because to truly understand the pain that Santa Fe endured, we also need to understand the person who caused it. His name was Dimitrios Pagortzis. He was 17 years old, a junior at Santa Fe High School, a face people knew, a name that didn't raise alarms. He wasn't someone you'd expect to be at the center of a national tragedy. But on May 18, 2018, he changed the lives of an entire town forever. Dimitrios was quiet. Some say he was shy. Others say he was just another teenager trying to fit in. He played on the junior varsity football team. He liked video games. He took art classes. He had friends and even a few teachers who thought he was smart, if a bit reserved. But there were signs that something was off, things most people dismissed. He often wore a trench coat to school, even in the sweltering Texas heat. Some classmates said he was obsessed with war and violence. Others said he seemed angry beneath the surface, a quiet storm building over time. A month before the shooting, he posted a disturbing image on his Facebook page, a t-shirt with the words, "Born to Kill." On his social media, he shared symbols linked to extremist ideologies. In hindsight, these were warnings, but at the time, they were just shrugged off.
Blazoned with the words, "Born to Kill," and a photo of a long dark coat with a Nazi medallion and other symbols representing kamikaze tactics, rebellion, and evil. State officials say Pagortzis was wearing a long coat on campus and hid a shotgun underneath.
We also know the shooter has information contained in journals on his computer and his cell phone that he said that not only did he want to commit the shooting, but he wanted to commit suicide after the shooting.
On Instagram, the high school junior posted an affinity for guns, following pages like Daily.Guns, Guns Fanatics, Guns Lovers, and Guns Glory. That side of his social media profile is in stark contrast to other online photos of Pagortzis, seen here at dinner out with family and here at the Galveston Greek Festival, where he was part of a dance group for a Greek Orthodox church.
That morning, he left a journal behind. In it, he wrote about his plans. He said he intended to kill and then kill himself. He brought a shotgun and a .38 caliber revolver, both legally owned by his father. He wore a trench coat to conceal them, and homemade explosives he never ended up using. At 7:32 a.m., he walked into Art Room 2. Inside, students were starting their day like any other, drawing, laughing, just being kids. And then, the first shot rang out. The fire alarm was pulled, whether by the shooter or someone else remains unclear. Students flooded into the hallways, many thinking it was just another drill. But what they saw was something no one should ever see. Witnesses said Dimitrios fired without hesitation. He moved from room to room, targeting classmates and teachers. He didn't aim randomly. He selected his victims. And in one of the most chilling details, he told some students he liked, I'm not going to shoot you so you can tell my story. Within minutes, the school turned into a war zone. Terrified students barricaded themselves in closets, bathrooms, and supply rooms. Teachers used desks to shield doorways. One student, Sarah Salazar, was shot in the shoulder, jaw, and neck. Another, Christian Garcia, died while trying to help a fellow classmate escape. For 25 excruciating minutes, the shooter continued his rampage. He finally surrendered after exchanging gunfire with 2 officers. He was arrested on the scene, calm, silent, alive. And inside that school, 10 lives were already lost. 13 more were injured, and the whole country was in shock. In the days after the shooting, more disturbing details emerged. Investigators found additional explosives at the school and at his home. Molotov cocktails, pipe bombs, all homemade, all deadly. He had intended to do far more damage, but something stopped him. Maybe fear, maybe cowardice, or maybe somewhere deep down, he just wanted to be remembered. Today, Dimitrios Pagortsis is still in custody. He's been ruled mentally unfit to stand trial multiple times. He's currently held in a North Texas state hospital, undergoing treatment. More than 5 years later, he still hasn't faced a jury. And so the victims' families wait for answers, for justice, for a sense of peace that may never come.
Heavy hearts, a moment of silence. Here in Santa Fe and statewide.
We need more love in this country.
Greg Zanis of Chicago has created more than 22,000 crosses, each for victims of mass murders. Now, his crosses sit outside Santa Fe High School. 10 small white wooden crosses, a red heart, names and pictures of 8 students and 2 teachers.
I'm doing this for the victims, for their families, and it's a simple message. A guy coming, 1,200 miles across country to show his love like this.
He, along with Billy Graham chaplains from North Carolina, placed the crosses in their spots near a memorial under the school sign.
But we come to support the community.
It's a place family, friends, and community members can come, show love.
I want to show him how, how life is, how fast you can lose it,
And pray for those lost, their loved ones, and a community in pain.
Shauna was bold, confident, the kind of teenager who stood up for others and wasn't afraid to speak her mind. She loved drawing and had dreams of being a digital artist one day. Just a week before the shooting, she had reportedly rejected the shooter's romantic advances. Her mother believes that made her a target. Sabika was thousands of miles from home, a Pakistani exchange student full of excitement and curiosity. She came to America to learn, to explore, and to represent her country with pride. She was just weeks away from returning home. Her suitcase was already packed. Anne was a substitute teacher, a mentor, a mother figure to so many. She believed in kids, even the ones others had given up on. That morning, she died doing what she had always done, protecting her students. Christopher loved wrestling. He was strong, quiet, dependable. He was the kind of friend who didn't say much, but always had your back. He died trying to help his classmates escape. Jared was planning his birthday party. He loved Marvel movies, Minecraft, and making people laugh. His father, living in California, had flown in to surprise him, only to be greeted by tragedy. Angelique had a bright smile and a bright future. She loved music, loved her family, and had just gotten her driver's permit. Her brother described her as his angel, now more than ever. Aaron was the kind of student teachers loved, respectful, soft-spoken, always smiling. He was just beginning to figure out who he was and who he wanted to become. Kimberly was only a freshman, but already she had a passion for science and a love for animals. She dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. She never got the chance to make it to sophomore year. Christian died a hero. He held the door open for others to escape and refused to run until he knew others were safe. He was a leader in his church, a protector by nature, a selfless soul. Cynthia was a substitute teacher who took the job to help support her husband, who had a terminal illness. She was known for her compassion, her patience, and her belief that every child mattered. She gave her life in service to the classroom. 10 lives, 10 stories unfinished, 10 futures we will never get to see play out.
That was a 6:50 on Thursday. Emotional testimony in a Texas courtroom. Victims and families say the parents of the 17-year-old who killed 10 people at a Houston high school should have done more to prevent the tragedy. In 2018, the shooter opened fire in Santa Fe High School, killing 8 students and 2 teachers, wounding more than a dozen others. He was found mentally incompetent to stand trial. Now survivors and victims' families are suing his parents, claiming they should have known their son was mentally ill and prevented him from getting access to his father's weapons. They say the family had nearly $2,000 in ammo and other disturbing items delivered months before the shooting.
You can't give me an excuse and tell me, oh, it's because of this and because of this that my son's dead. You can't do that. Somebody has to take accountability for my son's murder.
Well, the parents say that there were no warning signs about their son's mental health problems and claim others were to blame, including the company that sold ammo to their underage son. Back in Texas, the ammo company was also a defendant in the case but reached a settlement. The trial is expected to last 3 weeks. Families.
The civil trial in the 2018 shooting at Santa Fe High School, which left 8 students and 2 teachers dead, now turns to the defense.
Investigator Robert Arnold has been on the case since the very beginning as he continues to cover the trial in Galveston. He joins us now with how the defense is making its case. Robert.
Court just wrapped up for the day, and on the stand was the sister of the charged gunman. She concluded her testimony, and I'll get to what she said in just a minute. As we told you, the plaintiffs rested their case on Friday by calling the father of the charged gunman to the stand, Antonio Spagorchis. The defense began presenting its case today by calling the father back to the stand. Defense attorneys also brought in the gun safe and gun cabinets that were in the home. The defense tried to paint a picture of the way that the guns were stored in the house was reasonable because their son was 17 and they had no legal obligation to make sure he didn't get his hands on the gun. Plaintiffs countered that, saying again that this was an absentee father who didn't realize that his son was spiraling out of control, and the way that he did store the weapons was not reasonable because he kept the keys to the cabinet in the safe in a place that was easy to find, pointing out again that it was the father's shotgun and the mother's .38 revolver that was used to kill 10 people in May of 2018. After talk about gun storage concluded, the father then started getting questions from the plaintiff's attorneys along the lines of, are you prone to fits of rage, violent outbursts, breaking things, hurling obscenities, generally violent behavior? He answered no to all those questions. The plaintiff's attorneys then started referencing a report compiled by a psychiatrist in California. This is the doctor who examined the charged gunman after he was arrested in 2018. And plaintiff's attorneys were saying, well, these questions are coming from what was in this report, and that is coming from statements that your wife and daughters made. The father, Antonio Spagorchis, said he didn't know how to reconcile that and doesn't understand where that was coming from. Then, as I said, the charged gunman's sister ended the day by taking the stand. She painted a very different picture, saying her father was loving, supportive, caring, and very involved in her and her brother's life. Now, as I said, the court has wrapped up for the day, and I'll have more of her testimony coming up at 6 o'clock. Reporting live from the Galveston County Courthouse, Robert Arnold, KPRC 2 News.